Welcome to the Gentleman's Guide to Vampires. Now here's an odd bloodline. The Samedi, the Barons get. Where did they come from, and what purpose do they serve in the unholy jihad? No kindred outside of the bloodline could rightly tell you. Indeed, very few kindred would be able to tell you where the Samedi even originate, for that is a subject of much conjecture. While the more naive will point at the Nosferatu and say, well, the Nosferatu are hideous to behold, and the Samedi certainly are. After all, the Samedi resemble nothing more than rotting corpses, often in an advanced state of decomposition. Their face wrinkled, their extremities dropped off, almost as soon as they are embraced. Humans embraced into the Samedi bloodline find their nose peeling free of their face, their ears dropping off, their skin peeling back until the roots of their fingernails are left exposed. All sorts of other loose extremities find themselves falling to the ground as they start to resemble that which they are, a corpse, except in a radically advanced state of decomposition. Perhaps the worst of it is not just the eyes sinking into the back of the skull, but the ooze that consistently drips from these stiffs, from their orifices, from their skin itself. And the smell. The Samedi reek. If you had complained of a Nosferatu in Elysium carrying around with it the stench of the sewer, you have not met a coterie comprising of more than one Samedi, because the stench is outrageous. Still, are they a bloodline of the Nosferatu? I do not believe so. I think that would be too easy an answer, and one must look more closely at their discipline spread, the powers inherent in being a Samedi, the powers that the Baron has granted them. Most humans embrace into the Samedi have a fixation with death before the embrace, so the likes of morticians, goths, coroners, archaeologists even. The people who are likely to spend a lot of time looking into death, philosophers who examine death and the nature of it, even priests to some extent. And it is said that the bloodline originated, if not in Italy, in the Caribbean. Now those are two very disparate places, but the Baron himself is said to come from the Caribbean, and the Baron is the eldest known vampire in the Samedi bloodline, estimated at being of the 5th generation. The Samedi have their own discipline, a discipline unique to their bloodline called Thanatosis, not too dissimilar to the Cappadocian discipline of Mortis. It is a necromancy of a sort that focuses primarily on the physical stuff of the person you are using it on, whether it is on another or on yourself. For Thanatosis is a multi-use discipline. It is not merely offensive. While it can be used to wither someone's limb or rot them from within, it can also be used to rot yourself into a pile of dust that can reform from this sticky ichor, this clammy soot that is left on the floor, back into the form that you once were. Well, minus probably a few teeth, maybe a few other extremities that hadn't yet dropped off. And so you can quite easily make the connection. Samedi, Cappadocian. But is it as simple as to say that the Samedi are the remaining members of the Cappadocian bloodline? For if they were, would they not have some great enmity towards the Giovanni? And certainly, while some Samedi dare not mess around with the Giovanni, they dare not share cities with the Giovanni, the Baron himself has been known to have spoken face to face with Augustus Giovanni, laid down certain terms, and walked away scot-free. How did he get away with that, when he is nowhere near as powerful as the Giovanni antediluvian? Surely, if they were Cappadocians, the Giovanni would be as keen on wiping out the Samedi as they were on wiping out the Cappadocians themselves. more mysteries. And it is also known that some Samedi do practice the discipline of necromancy. While their typical spread is Thanatosis, obfuscate and fortitude, thus allowing them to hide their horrible visages and withstand a great deal of damage, some of them practice the necromancy of the Giovanni. Where did they learn this discipline? If not from the Giovanni, who else knows necromancy to such extent? The Nagaraja, the harbingers of skulls, perhaps? Who can truly say? And many Samedi afford themselves a dry sense of humour to match the sometimes parched skin or to counter the often dripping morass that's crawling down their backs. But they are known for their black humour, their pranks, not too dissimilar indeed to the Ravenos or the Malkavians, the way they treat princes in their cities, and perhaps for this reason, and perhaps for their sheer masquerade-breaching appearances, they are not a member of the Camarilla. Likewise, they are not a member of the Sabbat. The bloodline has its own agenda, although whether you could find out what this is or not would really depend on how powerful a kindred you are. Most of us can only guess at what the Samedi are trying to get at. Certainly some few Samedi do say that they are members of the Camarilla, others say that they are members of the Sabbat, but those vampires seem to know very little about the true nature of their bloodline. Only the Baron is answering questions on that, and most of the time he is quite content to wave you away with his rotting hand, the rictus grin permanently affixed to his face. The Samedi first arose a few hundred years ago, maybe the 17th century, and with that being the case, it would perhaps tie into around the time the last Cappadocian was eliminated. But if we are to look again at the fact that if the Samedi were Cappadocians, surely the Giovanni would know about this and would be trying to wipe them out. Perhaps we have to look farther afield. Maybe they're Cappadocians that went against the main body of the clan, and this is how they have brokered some kind of peace with the Giovanni. Perhaps the Samedi are the Cappadocians that turned the rest of their fellows over to the Giovanni. Have you considered that, fledgling? Have you considered that the Samedi's appearance is a curse in itself, far worse than that the Cappadocians had, where they merely resembled recently deceased bodies? The Samedi perhaps gave themselves over to corruption when they handed their kin to the Giovanni and their Holocaust. The Samedi, the remaining members of the clan, fled to the Caribbean, the new world as it was over there, and started their own little bloodline, which has never really grown. Perhaps that's one theory. Another theory is that they were Cappadocians, and they were just Cappadocians that never quite made it to the Feast of Folly. So they were Cappadocians that should have been locked up in Kaimalki, where they would never be able to exit. They would never be able to do anything other than sink into torpor or succumb to diablerie on their fellows. But again, if that was the case, the Giovanni should have some enmity towards them, or vice versa. Samedi have odd relations with various clans. They're not as close to the Nosferatu as you may think. After all, they cross a lot of territory. The Samedi tends toward the sewers and the graveyards, and the Nosferatu are keen on doing the same sort of thing. Of course, a Samedi could quite easily masquerade himself as a Nosferatu with just a particularly poor skin condition, so the reasons may not be fully understood. What is their agenda? What are they trying to do? Some believe that the Samedi are in deep with the harbingers of skulls, that they are the bloodline that opened up the rift between our world and the netherworld, the underworld, that they were the causes of the great maelstrom, the latest one, the one that wiped out the wraiths and the spectres, and consigned all to oblivion, and allowed the harbingers of skulls to re-emerge in the world of darkness. In that case, they are servants to the original Cappadocians, surely. But the Baron seems far too powerful, far too lofty to be beholden to any other vampire. Some believe that the Baron is Japheth Cappadocius, in one of his many disguises, if indeed he survives till this night. Some believe he is a completely different vampire, but the Pisanob, a small family of the Giovanni clan, share many of the same countenances as the Samedi, and they have an Aztec heritage. Not too far from the Caribbean, is it? Mexico. Are the Samedi merely a part of the Pisanob, or vice versa, who have founded their own discipline and decided to break free of the Giovanni clan? They are a clan of conundrums, a bloodline of conundrums rather. The Samedi are very difficult to quantify. You will find them in many cities, working as mercenaries or working as assassins. You will find them performing any number of tasks for any number of employers. And the paranoid among us may think, while they are putting one employer against the other, they are obtaining information from each and every one of them. And that information's got to go back somewhere, just as all the blood tithes that the Assamites gain have to go back somewhere. Well, what are the Samedi using this information for? What are they using this extensive power base for? They are becoming known as more reliable mercenaries than the Assamites. Will they be the guns for hire in the final nights? Will they take the role of the Assamites as the Assamites fracture and succumb to civil war? Or will that role fall to the Gangrel? The number of Samedi is spreading, which is disconcerting given their horrible appearance. After all, no one wants a walking masquerade breach in their city. Even the Sabbat often balk at the idea of a zombie walking down the street quite openly. Nobody wants them around, and yet here they are. Malign, quite malevolent, very sly, very clever, very introverted. They keep their own counsel. They follow the commands of their elder, the Baron, and no other vampire knows exactly what those commands are. Will it be to the betterment of the kindred society of the final nights, or will it be toward its destruction? Perhaps they are serving some antediluvian that many believe is dead, but is truly living on, spread across the various bloodlines that splintered from his clan. Some believe the Baron himself is a ghost in vampiric form, a wraith that has possessed a vampire, one of the lower, very much a god in flesh form. If that is the case, then the Samedi are unlike any other bloodline, and their abilities can only really be guessed at, can only really be feared. For with such powerful patronage, there is no other bloodline, truly, that can stand against them. No other clan that is so united that can destroy them. For the Giovanni have signed this compact with them that they will not raise a hand against them due to the Baron's machinations. What? Why? Why would they do something like that? Something mysterious, no doubt. Something mysterious for you to ponder, as the Samedi known as Troglodytea, the Samedi known as Makut, the Samedi known as Toy, the Samedi known as the Baron, and various other Samedi conspire together every Mardi Gras season, and they share plots, they share gossip, they conspire like harpies in Elysium, and they weave their web of necrotic flesh across the world of darkness. Thank you very much for watching.